Welcome back to Wake Up War Chant here on 97.9 ESPN Radio, and we get to do it once a week. After a game, we tape it Sunday night. We run it first thing in the morning on Monday, and that is our post-film review with head coach Jimbo Fisher and coach 26-19 win over Wake Forest. That was a tough one. That was hanging in a balance there to the very end. I know getting a road win in the ACC is never easy, so what were your just kind of general thoughts being able to leave Wake Forest?
I thought the game would be just like that. I thought they would play very good defense, which they did. We gave them, but we had too many tackles for loss and gave up too much penetration. Had some plays we could have made. We had 2 touchdowns taken off the board with penalties, which are very close. I need to, we're evaluating those right now, see what we get back from those. But again, I thought made some plays in the kicking game. Again, had the touchdown call back. That was a shame. Had the one punt where he just shanked. He just slipped out of his hand when he dropped it. Other than that, he punted the ball well. Ricky was excellent. Our return game got us a big return. It set up a touchdown and thought we had a touchdown. Defense gave up a big 1 third down long, and then they got stopped. Did a good job for the most part. Got critical 3 and outs at the end. Offense made plays in the fourth quarter. Ran the ball hard all game. Again, we had too many negative plays as far as tackles for loss and a couple sacks. But a hard-fought victory that I knew would be very tough. I knew they were playing with confidence. I knew they'd come in here ready to play. The way that what they do on defense is always very good, like they were last year against Louisville, against us, against Clemson. Those guys all, for 3 quarters, always battled you very tough. But a good hard-fought win with a freshman quarterback. And, again, we're far from perfect. Got a lot of work to do. We know that. But it's a win. We learned how to win. We learned how to make a play. What I was excited about, we had, one of our backup tight ends missed a block on the 3rd and 1. And then we execute a great punt down to the 10, get a great 3 and out. Defense does a great job, and offense comes back and replies. It's one of the few times defense, offense, and special teams all played together at a critical time in the game to win.
And, Coach, it looked like you had a couple of your linemen go down. Just want to see if you have any update in their status. I know Derek Kelly went out in that first series as a big blow, your left tackle, and then we saw Landon Dickerson go out. I don't know if he came back or what's up with those 2 guys.
And Minshew went out too. Both of them, they all went out at different times. They'll all be day-to-day, look at the injuries in which they had. They're all nursing some different little things inside. So we'll see as we get back from we don't know yet.
Okay. And you mentioned at the outset, Coach, and that was kind of the elephant in the room, 17 tackles for loss. You don't see that very often. You had 5 sacks. Obviously, there were some protection issues. When you went and looked at the film of Saturday's game, what was jumping out at you? Why was Wake Forest able to do that so successfully?
Guys not being together. Like when the guard and tackle were zone blocking, if the guard being with the tackle or the tackle having to be solo because there's different times by where the backer's at, how you got to do that, and them not communicating well. And I think, early in the game, gave up once or twice. We got beat on pass pro. Inside, a couple times our tight ends got beat on cutoffs coming inside on some tackles for loss, and just things. It's basically what it was. Things that we worked on, done. We got to do better. We got to play better. Got to practice better because it was a game of extremes. We made plays, and we had over 200 some yards positive rushing, which Wake is a hard team to run on because they always got extra guys in the box. But at the same time, we had too many negative plays, and that's the thing. You can't have penalties, negative plays, and I say self-inflicted wounds that way. And also a couple times our back, the young guys got to realize every now and then, okay, it's a 1-yard loss or a 1-yard gain. Don't try to make it every play not a touchdown. Sometimes you just got to stick it in there, and that's what goes.
And, Coach, there was a scene on TV it showed in the first half. You were on the sideline talking to the offensive line. It seemed pretty animated there. Do you remember that?
We did. We missed a declaration on a critical play. Missed a declaration on a mic call on a critical play that we had, on a 3rd down, and we could have popped it up out of there, and we declared it wrong. We'd worked on it really hard and had it there. We just made a mistake on it, and they didn't do it on purpose. But I was just making sure my point got across.
And your freshman quarterback getting his first win of the season on the road, Coach, and obviously not having the best protection at times, too. How did James Blackman fare?
He played solid. I mean, here's some things he could have done a lot better. And some of his reads, getting the ball out at times, got to have better ball security. Had 2 balls stripped in his hand. Luckily, we got him back. No matter what happened, you can't put those on the ground. We got to work on the ball security. But, made throws in the fourth quarter when he had to. Stuck a ball in there. Keith made it. Made the big play at the end. Did some really nice things in the game. Still some things that he's got to learn too. But, also didn't have the critical turnovers that led to them being in a one-possession game that could have turned it around either. So we got to continue to grow, I think. And I say this with people. People don't understand this. The first start's really tough. Sometimes the second start's tougher, especially when you have success because you think, okay, I got to do better and better. And then how tough some of these games are and going on the road and playing a team that the way they play defense and what they do, we got to do better. And then, the other thing, too, our wideouts got to play better. We got to play better wideout, too. We missed some critical blocks on some screens outside that would have been big, big plays that we use a lot, and we got to do a better job there. with some back screens underneath, and with those that would have really sprung out there big time, that they've got to pick it up and play a little better in situations in there too.
Coach, you mentioned the wideouts, and interesting that Auden Tate didn't play a whole lot in the first half, obviously coming back off that shoulder injury, but he made that huge 40-yard touchdown catch for you with the guy draped on his back. The interference was called, and he still came up with a touchdown. Just talk about him kind of gutting that thing out and coming through for you guys.
Well, it is. That's what football's about. That's what this game is. And you're never going to be healthy. And he was banging a little more than normal, but he went out there and knew he had to play. We knew we could use him in certain situations. We thought he would play, just like we said. We didn't know how much till game day as much, and we got a gauge on it. We tried to critical moments get him in there and make sure he was in the game, and it was great for him. And I think it's not only great for him to realize what he's capable of doing, great for our team. To see guys go out there and do that, and I think it's character building and team building.
Other side of the ball, Coach, defensively, Wake had some long drives, but also for the first time this season, you guys forced some turnovers, and down the stretch, I noticed in the fourth quarter, you guys had 3 straight 3-and-outs, something you hadn't really done a whole lot this season. So kind of a little feast and famine, but you happy with how they performed down the stretch?
They did, and again, they had veteran players on defense, and their RPOs, man, when you're on all those, every play is a pass and a run, and you got to play all 11 guys hard like that. It's very difficult. They were good at it. They hit some nice plays. They really good at their screen game, the quarterback run game. They do a little bit of everything. But we dominated the line of scrimmage for the most part in those situations. Got better at the coverage, created those situations. And, again, having great trust in those guys, the way they were playing in the second half in that fourth quarter.
And I saw Jalen Wilkerson out there quite a lot in the second half. Was that just to give him a shot, or was Josh Sweat hurt, or what was you doing with that?
A little bit of both. Jalen was playing better. Josh he played a lot of plays, giving him a rest. Jalen had a couple of tackles, had a fumble recovery, which was good. And also Jalen, just the day before, it was great to see him do that. He had just lost his grandfather. He was playing with a heavy heart, and he was very close with him. And it was great that his grandfather got to smile down and watch him play a great game and have some big plays in that game. Our thoughts and prayers go out with him and his family.
Now, a couple of players on that side of the ball. What are your thoughts on that? That's Matthew Thomas, who led you in tackles, had 2 sacks. Seems like he's Mr. Consistency. Also, Kyle Myers, you mentioned that turnover, Coach. He not only had the interception, he forced that fumble. So something you guys desperately needed.
It really did, and also moving him into the slot, moving Derwin back to safety, because you had a guy that was quicker, like the guy they had in there. He played it very well, allowed Derwin to free up and make plays all over the field. Matthew he led us with 10 tackles. He had 2 tackles for loss and 2 sacks, and made a lot of plays that way. Again, Matthew's so athletic in space, and did a great job in that regard. And our defense, got better and better throughout the game and made the plays when they had to.
And, Coach, I'd be remiss if I did not bring up the special teams. You mentioned it at the outset, but Ricky going 4 for 4 for you on field goals, keeping you in the game all along. And after he had struggled, obviously, in that first game, and you mentioned the returns as well. Special teams seems like it's really turning around.
It is. We put a lot of time in it. We put a lot of live work in it. And Ricky, the first game, I keep saying the block wasn't him. The block was on the protection, was not on him. And he missed the first one at NC State. Now he's made 8 in a row, and he's doing a good job. I thought Logan Tyler kicked the ball excellently, except for the one punt that he shanked. It was all in the drop. When he went to drop, it came off the side of his hand. He got a bad angle, and he missed it. Otherwise, every punt was over 45 yards, 44 to 57 yards, and he hit one that it was inside the 10, executed that perfectly, and got us down to the 10-yard line. So happy there. Had a big return by Keith Gavin, which is set up a touchdown down 12-3. Actually had the one in the beginning for a touchdown, which was inches away. And, we gave up one punt return a little bit. We got undisciplined in our lanes down there. We had him perfect surrounded. But we'll continue to grow, and we need to be a great special teams team, and we should be, and we're going to continue to work hard on that.
That first one you mentioned that Derwin returned the touchdown that was called back on the blocking in the back. I think they officially signaled Frederick Jones, but it didn't look like. I wasn't sure.
I was on Jacquez. It was on Jacquez. They called it on Jacquez, so we're going to get a ruling back and see what we think.
Okay,
it was close.
On that. And speaking of that, a couple of just odd calls. I'm curious, and we spoke at the outset before we got on the air, but just wanted they reviewed a penalty, but I guess there was a unique situation of that because it was something close to the line of scrimmage. As you say, it's kind of.
It is. If a ball's thrown behind or across the line of scrimmage, you judge it. It's like a quarterback. If he throws it beyond the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage, so that's the judge. That's the thing. It is reviewable. It was done appropriately by them. Just like the targeting on Derwin, which was a good call. They flipped that.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. So because you guys have had so many questionable targeting calls that goes against you, and you had to be a little bit, honestly, were you a little bit surprised with that? It was obviously the right call, like you said.
I was nervous about it, but after I saw it on video, and then I talked to the official on the side, I said, just give me the interpretation of what does the rule say. When he said that, I said, well, they should be able to do that. I was praying, and by what we saw, that's what it was, but, you never know till they call it.
And it looked like, and I'm sure that's the way you coach the guys, because looking at the replays, it looked like he turned away from the guy and put his shoulder into him as you're supposed to do instead of leading with his helmet.
He did, and not to try to wrap and try to hit from the shoulder pads down and not up to the head.
And the last thing, Coach, you got Miami coming in this weekend. Obviously, it's a huge rivalry game, one of the best in college football. They're a perfect 4-0, ranked number 12 right now. They're going to be sky high after you guys beat them 7 times in a row. So what are your thoughts on trying to defend the home turf against the Hurricanes?
Well, I mean, they're going to have, like I say, they're going to feel they can come in and win. We're going to feel we can play well, and it'll be a great game. They're playing really well right now. We've got a lot of things we've got to clean up, so we got to get busy and have a great week of practice.
All right, appreciate it. Coach Jimbo Fisher joining us here on Wake Up War Chant. Coach, good luck this week.
Thank you, Gene.
Thanks. Take care.
Oh, no.